5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Welcome to your Media Mosh Podcast. I am your host, Shane Beauregard, coming at you with all your news, reviews, and previews out to watch on your streaming services, your television, and your local theater. I hope everyone's had a great week coming at you Monday night, October 14th. And it was quite a weekend. That's why I'm coming to you a night later, but it still will be, the new episode will be out tomorrow. I had my first overnight Boy Scout trip, which was very tiring and a very long night, especially for someone who does not care much for arachnids. They're all over the goddamn place. But the weekend ended great as my Jets got their first win. Thank God. We look like a functional football team with our quarterback back there finally. So, after so much rest and relaxation, I am back, and let's get right into some news. Sad news, Robert Forster passed away just on Sunday, and it's eerie. I just saw him in El Camino, but he is better known for Twin Peaks in the Quentin Tarantino movie Jackie Brown. Rest in peace, Robert Forster. Lion Wiseman, the director of the Underworld series, has been tapped to direct an all-female-centric John Wick spin-off called Ballerinas or Ballerina. Hey, which is fine by me. You swap her out from a black leather outfit to a no, I know she's not going to be ballerina. She's probably going to be like head mistress of the school. That's fine. Just get Kate Beckinsale in the movie. We're good to go. Saw the Dr. Dolittle trailer, and what the fuck did I just watch? It doesn't look good. I'm going to tell you what, the Birds of Prey trailer looks like Gone with the Wind compared to this thing. When Robert Downey first started speaking, I thought it was the follow-up to Sherlock Holmes. Like, what is it? Like Noah's Ark and Dr. Dolittle? I don't know what the fuck's going on with this trailer, but thumbs down for me. Anyway, I hope it's one of those things where the movie's a lot better than the trailer, or we'll see what the second one's about. But, just stick with the Eddie Murphy one for now. Those were actually decent kid movies. The trailer for the new Vin Diesel Bloodshot movie is going to be shown with the Terminator Dark Fate movie coming out November the 1st. There is going to be a Training Day prequel movie. I don't know if that one's going to start. I'm assuming it's going to star Denzel Washington since de-aging is the in thing now. So I'll give you more updates on that. You're also going to get another Adam Sandler, Jennifer Aniston murder mystery sequel. You talk about an unnecessary sequel. I don't know where they go from here, but I'm sure it'll be another big Adam Sandler hit on the old Netflix. Now, if you're a fan of Masters of the Universe, this is unsettling. Sony is thinking about selling it to Netflix, which is generally not a good sign. I hope that's not true, but I'll keep you posted on that. And what's that? Wait, hold on.
Go fuck yourself, San Diego.
Go fuck yourself.
Go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourselves.
Go fuck yourself.
Go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself.
And with that's right. Go fuck yourselves, Martin Scorsese and Jennifer Aniston. I don't know what Scorsese's problem is. This is kind of old news, but then Jennifer Aniston has to come and pile on. Martin Scorsese does not like Marvel films, doesn't feel like it's a cinematic experience. You know what? Welcome to 2019, buddy. That's just the way the landscape is. I'm sure you're sitting there and you're restocking film footage from 1965 and 1970, and I'm sorry you feel the landscape of cinema has gone this way, but listen, I've been waiting my entire childhood for movies like this to come to life. So I'm riding this trend out as long as it's going to last. And yes, there are some people over it, but you come off sounding like the old man banging the fucking broomstick on the ceiling. The Marvel Cinematic Universe are not all history. You're going to sit here and tell me Iron Man's not a fucking movie? You're going to sit here and tell me Captain America and Winter Soldier's not a movie? And there's not talented actors being drawn into these movies as they go on? You can go fuck yourself, Scorsese. How about trying to make a film without De Niro and Pacino? Oh yeah, and Pesci's in this one, combined age of 250. So settle down, old man. And Jennifer Aniston, she chimed in because she doesn't want to live her life on a green screen. How about living your life in a good fucking movie? How about that? She wants to go back to times of the Meg Ryan of cinema. Yeah, I'm sorry. Did I miss that part of your career? Where you were making movies like that? The Bounty Hunter? What? No, not the Bounty Hunter. How about the recent ones with Dumplin'? Or Murder Mystery? The aforementioned Murder Mystery. Oh, that's right. You're making a fucking sequel to that one. Oh, how about Along Came Polly? That's not a fucking Meg Ryan-like classic? Give me a break. You make shit movies after shit movies after shit movies. And you're going to come out because you were popular on a sitcom that came out 20 years ago and people are still hanging on that image of you? Though you did kind of turn around in Horrible Bosses, but that's not my point. That was probably the best movie you've had in the last decade. So, Aniston and Scorsese, you can go both fuck yourselves. Anyway, it was nice to have that segment back. Who knows, maybe Aniston will go make another movie with Gerard Butler or some washed up action star. There you go. Live your Meg Ryan life, you fucking hack. Now, let's get into the box office wrap up, shall we? Coming in at number 5 is Downton Abbey, bringing in $4.8 million, which brings its 4-week release total to $82 million. Number 4 is Abominable. Yep, there you go. 3 weeks in a row, I got that word right. Bringing his 3-week total, bringing in $6 million, bringing his 3-week total to $47 million. Not great on the $75 million budget, but the bomb of the week. Yes, Will Smith lays another turd in The Gemini Man, which is sitting at 26% on Rotten Tomato. That came in at number 3, bringing in $20 million on a $138 million budget. Woo! Adam Sandler comes in at number 2, first week in release, bringing in $30 million. And for the second week in a row, The Joker is number 1, bringing in $55 million, which brings his 2-week total to $193 million on a $55 million budget. Not bad, and it is actually killing it overseas as well. Coming out next week in the theater is actually a pretty good weekend. You got 2 independent films. You have the Tiki Waititi Jojo Rabbit, which I'm sure, I don't know if it's getting a wider release or not. And then you have the Robert Pattinson, William Dafoe movie, The Lighthouse, which actually I do want to see that movie, though I doubt it gets released here in Greensboro. But the one that everyone's waiting for is Zombieland Double Tap, 10 years after the original one. Then you have Angelina Jolie in another movie I have a hard time fucking pronouncing. Maleficent. Maleficent? Yeah, let's go with that. Maleficent. No, I just screwed up. Maleficent. There you go. That's what's coming out in the movie theater next week. Coming out next week on Netflix as part of their Netflix and chill and thrill or whatever the hell they're calling it is the movie Eli. It's about this sick kid who gets allergic to everything or everything makes him sick and he has to be isolated in a bubble and gets treated in this very conspicuous looking mansion run by these doctors. It actually looks okay. Then you have the Antonio Banderas, Michael Douglas, Meryl Streep film, The Laundromat. And then you had the Paul Rudd film, Living With Yourself, all coming out on Netflix on the 18th. Now, let's get into what I watched this week. 2 John Cusack movies. One is Arsenal, which is sitting at 3% critic score with a 17% audience score. This one stars Adrian Grenier, yes, from Entourage fame. And you have Nicolas Cage wearing a ridiculous wig and a prosthetic nose, playing a kingpin gangster in Louisiana, and then you have John Cusack. And I was kind of duped by this because John Cusack was shown prominently on the cover art and he was only in like 2 or 3 scenes. He plays a cop. This movie centers on Adrian Grenier and his brother, who had a really tough childhood. Adrian goes on to be a successful construction worker, owning his own company, and his brother has been in and out of trouble ever since he got out of the Marines. He stole a brick of coke, which Nicolas Cage tried to retrieve, and he owes Nicolas Cage money, so Nicolas Cage comes up with a plan, kidnap the older brother to get money out of the younger brother. That is the gist of this movie. Now, I thought this movie was set like in Chicago or New York. No, it's set in Louisiana. And you couldn't tell because no one has that Cajun accent. You couldn't tell where it was filmed. This movie is laughable. Adrian Grenier is as believable as a tough guy as Maggie Gyllenhaal is as a successful prostitute in the show The Deuce. Totally unbelievable. Not buying it. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about this movie. I was disappointed that John Cusack wasn't in enough. just bad acting. Everything around it is just bad, except for Nicolas Cage's prosthetic nose. He reminded me of that character that Andy Kaufman played, where he had like the blue velvet suit on with the glasses, with the nose and the hair that was like combed straight down. Direct rip off of that character, but he was a lot of fun. He goes full Nick Cage in like 2 or 3 scenes. So if you're looking for a movie about brotherly love and family coming together and I'll do anything for you, bro, then this is the movie for you. I agree with I side more with the audience on this one. It's not a 3%, but it doesn't get much higher than 17. I'll give Arsenal a 1.25 out of 5. The second John Cusack movie I watched was the 2017 Blood Money, which, backtracking a little bit, Arsenal came in at 2017 as well. This one is getting a 50% critic score with a 16% audience score. And this centers around 3 friends, Victor, Lynn, and Jeff. And they're going hiking and kayaking and whitewater rafting in this national park. So at the beginning of the movie, you see some kind of plane crash in the background. And you see John Cusack's character. He's trying to track down these duffel bags full of money. He can't find them. The group, Victor, Lynn, and Jeff, end up finding the money. And John Cusack basically is trying to track them down. So you have Lynn, who used to go out with Victor. And now is going out with Jeff, but not telling Victor about it. So you got that dilemma. But they're remaining really good friends, but yet they shit on each other throughout this entire movie. Lynn is the most vile character I've come across in a long, long time. And no one's ever going to see this movie, so I will spoil it a little bit. So Victor still has feelings for her. She's brushing him off. She gets drunk and has sex with Jeff, and then they tell Victor. They end up finding the money. Victor wants no part of it. Lynn cuts him out, and her and Jeff are trying to get away with the money. And through pure coincidence, Victor runs into John Cusack because he's been wandering around the woods for a while. Cusack discovers that Victor found the duffel bags, gets him to bring them down to where the group is. Some accidental death happens where Victor gets away, rejoins the group, and down the river they go. In hot pursuit is John Cusack, who plays like a reluctant kind of killer. All he wants is the money. He doesn't want to fuck with these kids. But Lynn, again, from here on out, I'm going to ruin the hell out of this movie. So not only does she fucking bang both dudes and expects them to be really cool with each other, we find out she aborted Victor's kid without even telling him about it. And then, through the escape plan, she offs Jeff, cuts Victor down this rope ladder he was trying to climb up to get away from John Cusack. Then when John Cusack finally gets a hold of her, Victor comes out of nowhere. I don't know how he survived that fall. He bangs John Cusack down with the bat. Lynn gets the bat, kills John Cusack, and then shoots Victor and gets away with all the duffel bags full of money. But that's not it. That's not the last scene. The last scene is they forgot one duffel bag. It's floating down river, and as the credits close, you hear a group of kids say, "Hey, look at this duffel bag full of money." I, again, was rooting for Lynn just to get it. And I will give this movie balls for having Lynn survive everything, because she, again, comes off as the most vile, selfish fucking bitch I've seen on screen in years. I don't know where the critics were seeing this as 50% at all. It was a little better than Arsenal. I would give Blood Money a 1.5 out of 5 for me on those 2 John Cusack movies. And then I did not get a chance to see a third one because on Friday, then the Netflix original El Camino Breaking Bad movie came out, which is sitting at 94% Rotten Tomato with a critic score and a 98% audience score. I will talk non-spoilers about this movie. Let me make this statement first. This movie was not necessary, but it was very welcome. The fact that it did tie the Jesse Pinkman character up really nice. And you got a nice finite ending with Jesse. I would advise you to watch the recap of the first 5-minute recap of the series, because what they do is they give you the highlights of seasons 1 through 5 and get you caught up. Because if you haven't seen the show in a while, you can be kind of lost. So this movie picks up directly after the last episode, and we get him trying to escape and evade police. In between, you get flashback scenes about what was happening to him while he was captured by the white supremacists, I believe they were, in the discount Matt Damon, who was part of that group. So it does a nice job of giving you flashbacks of that while keeping you moving forward real time. What I really liked was you get a nice screen time by Skinny Pete and Badger, his two best friends. You get a nice performance by Robert Forster. This felt like a 2-hour episode of Breaking Bad. I love the music choices by Vince Gilligan because he wrote and directed this. Again, discount Matt Damon knocks out of the park, so the acting is great. And Aaron Paul, for some reason, this character brings out the best in Aaron Paul. Because I'm sure when he left Breaking Bad, or when Breaking Bad ended, his career probably didn't go the way he thought it was going to go. Maybe he should have turned down Need for Speed, and then he was reduced into kind of have to do those vitamin water commercials. But this character really brings out the best in Aaron Paul, and it is vintage Jesse Pinkman. The directing is fine. It really has the same feel, tone, color schemes, everything. It just translates nicely from show to movie. And that's all I'm going to tell you about El Camino. It was a nice ride. It was a welcome ride, but it wasn't a necessary one. So I'm glad that they did this. And I'll talk a little more spoilers with it probably next week. I'll give you some time to watch it. So I do agree with the critics. To me, it met my expectations. It was on par with the Deadwood movie. So I would agree with critics and audience score. I'm giving El Camino, a Breaking Bad movie, a 4.5 out of 5 for me. Go check that out as soon as possible. Which brings me to the movie of the week. And you know, folks, sometimes I just don't understand what people are seeing. And usually, I will admit, I'm in the minority. This movie is being hailed as haunting. It's you can't get it out of your mind. It sticks with you for a while. Right now, it's sitting at number 9 on IMDb's all-time greatest film list. We are talking about The Joker. Oh, boy. Which is sitting at 68% critic score with a 90% audience score. Now, I'm not going to spoil anything in here for you, but I'm really racking my brain around this, folks, because I don't understand the all-out gushing praise and applause this movie is getting. And that's not to downplay people with mental health or mental illness issues. Let me go into the positives first. You have a good performance by Robert De Niro. I thought you had a good performance by Joaquin Phoenix, even though I think there were scenes he overacted in. Yes, I do believe he overacted in several scenes. I'll get into that later. And I thought the score was fantastic. And the way it was shot, it was directed fine. It gave you that gritty, down-to-earth, hard to look at sometimes feeling. But this movie is... I knew it was going to be a slow burn, and I had no problem with that. In fact, that was a positive, that Joaquin Phoenix's descent into madness was very slow moving until the last scene. I was fine with that. But some of the writing was sloppy. It was predictable. I felt like it just went down a checklist of things that would push him over the edge. And my problem is, you can't help but to watch this movie and think of every other iteration of the Joker. Granted, this is a standalone film. I give him a halfway thumbs up for trying to do something different with this character. That being said, it's like they took a thrown away script for Taxi Driver 2 and presented it to Warner Brothers and said, you know what though, you know what's going to make this movie sell? Let's just slap the Joker on there. And this make this a quote-unquote comic book movie, and it's nothing. It's not a comic book movie. And there's nothing wrong with that. But don't, for the less informed, don't slap the DC logo on there, and don't slap the Joker title on there. Just call it a Travis Bickle sequel, which is what it was. And that is my biggest hang-up. I feel like I was watching a movie that was made by the mental health of society or something. Because, I mean, how many times do they have to hit you over the head that he's on 7 kinds of medication, the program that he's involved in is shutting down, and he's having all kinds of problems. I mean, he fails clown school, he fails at stand-up comedy, and then he starts to spiral after there. Even some of the jokes they try to write into this thing did not land. And you're like, what kind of jokes were they There was that one scene with his mom where he told his mom he was going to be a stand-up, and she goes, "Don't you gotta be funny to be a stand-up?" That was supposed to be a joke, folks, but it fell fucking flat. The only part I laughed at, and I will not spoil this, was, am I allowed to say midget? The midget part, and you know what I'm talking about. I actually laughed. I didn't know I was supposed to, but I laughed. I thought the Zazie Beetz character didn't need her in the movie. I mean, you saw that coming from a mile away. I felt that the Thomas Wayne character and Bruce Wayne scene that was in the movie was forced, or they had to put in there to tie it to the comics. I just felt like that was just a plot device just to move the story towards that end. And then there's that line that I cringed at, and this isn't a spoiler, where he's got worked over on the job from being a clown, and and one of his buddies gives him a gun. He looks up and goes, "You know I'm not supposed to have a gun." Like, really? And how many shirtless scenes do we have to have with this guy? I mean, I get it. You don't have to hit me over the head with 50 shirtless scenes. He lost 50 pounds for this fucking role. His shoulder blades should have got a credit at the end of this movie. I mean, golly, it was just... Yeah, and it's just, I hate to be that guy, but it's not my Joker. I'm sorry. Like, the Joker, every other iteration seemed almost, I don't want to use the word evil genius, but I can't think of another word. This guy didn't seem to go down that path. Yes, he was part of a movement that was already swelling in the storyline, and through his actions kind of sparked the flame. But he never really gravitated towards that until the last act. So, folks, I'm sorry, I do not get what the fuck. No, it should not be number 9 on the IMDb list. No, it is not the best movie in the last 10 years. No, nothing about this movie stayed with me. I was haunted by it. In fact, the very last scene during the font, when the font came up and said the end, I half expected fucking Bugs Bunny to bust through and say, "Ooh, that's all, folks." It literally reminded me of a fucking Looney Tunes cartoon. I can't stand it. I hope they don't do a sequel. I pray to God they won't do a sequel. I will not go see it. And I feel bad for Joaquin Phoenix because he did what the script required him to do. But he makes me miss Jared Leto. That's right. I said it. So, I agree more with the critics than I do the audience score. Based on the positives that this movie did have, I would give the Joker a 2.75 out of 5 for me. And that's it, folks. I will possibly talk spoilers next week, because that means it'll be 3 weeks into release, and I feel more comfortable talking about spoilers if I have it in me, because I'm just over this movie already. So go to Facebook's Media Mosh. Go check me out in the Twitterverse at Shane Media Mosh. More importantly, go to the Apple Podcast Store, download me, review me, share me, and then circle back for this month, and really every month, but especially this month, and go check out the missus who is running Argue With Myself over on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. I hope everyone has a great week. Until then, get caught up in the mosh.